some information about the Samsung Galaxy S3 release dates, some of the specs, and some of the different things we expect to see in this phone. Go ahead and subscribe to me if you're not already, because I'm going to be giving some great updates about this phone and a bunch of other things. And I always have giveaways going on, guys, so people who aren't subscribed, feel free to subscribe and check me out on Twitter at OwenKnowsTech. It's down here in the description. And go ahead and thumbs up this video if you guys do like it, because I'm telling you, it really helps me out. And yep, comment on it. So let's go ahead and get into this. So the Samsung Galaxy S3. So the Samsung Galaxy S2 was released not too long ago, and it was a big hit, huge hit, but obviously there's some problems with Apple and all these patent issues. Now, we actually had some leaked images by Fandroid earlier in October, and it showed the Samsung Galaxy S3. Now, it showed the specs. It was dual core, and it kind of had, a little different form factor than now, but really a lot has changed since then. So let's get into now. So the Samsung Galaxy S3. Now we're expecting a release date for maybe the first quarter or second quarter, and we're actually expecting a debut at the Mobile World Congress. So those of you who are going, you just might get a look at this phone, and that's in February for those of you who don't know, and that's like a big technology show. Now let's just get into some of the specs on this phone. So we're looking at probably like a quad core on this puppy. Yep, quad core. Now many of you maybe think, well, this really isn't necessary, but it actually really is, because people are going to buy quad-core phones, and they're not going to sell phones that aren't really going to get sold. And it's really the rush for the quad-core right now, because it is a huge marketing technique, even if a lot of the applications aren't really focused on developing towards that multi-threading and taking full advantage of that quad-core. But it's really going to be a huge thing. So with that being said, there's not very many options, a really clear consensus right now. We have the Exynos 4412. This is a processor. It's a 32nm quad-core processor, and it's an A9 chip. So that's probably the most likely thing that's going to be happening here. But we also have the possible dual-core option, which, it's very possible, but I'm not really sure that's going to happen. It's unlikely. We have the Exynos 5 series. It's actually not going to, the 5250 is actually not going to be available till later in 2012 for the Koreans, so I wouldn't really expect that to be on there, because they're probably going to look to get this thing out by second quarter. Now, if we move on, a big possibility in this phone is that we might see like a different form factor in it, because like I said before, there was all those patent wars and stuff, and I'm sure Samsung really doesn't want to see its sales getting blocked like they did last time, and all these delayed releases, what have you. So even if it's not huge, we're definitely going to see a bit of a form factor change. Still probably going to be that candy bar kind of thing, but I really don't know. I'm really going to be surprised what they do with it. I hope they kind of keep the same, maybe just switch it around a little so Apple doesn't nitpick at them. But let's move on to some of the other specs. We have a big possibility that we're going to have a 4.6-inch screen. Now it's going to be featuring Samsung Super AMOLED Plus display. Great display, great colors. I have the Samsung Infuse, and I gotta tell you, the screen is great, colors are great, and compared to the other phones, I really do love it. And it's probably going to be featuring maybe some Gorilla Glass on that, and the pixel density on that is probably going to be about 320, given the resolution is 1280 by 720, which really seems to be kind of a threshold that a lot of people are encountering, unlike the iPhone, because you want to get these big screens, 4.6 inches, and you want to stuff all the pixels you can in there, but to make it available to consumers at a reasonable price, you're really not going to be able to get up in the 400s and so if you're going to be releasing a 4.8-inch screen. But 320, I'm happy with that. Some people may not be. Now let's move on to a couple other things. We got the LTE connectivity. It's going to be a must, because frankly, all these networks are being released that are really fast, and why would you want not to have LTE? Now, with that being said, we're probably going to hope to see Android's 4.0 ice cream sandwich on there. A lot of you have maybe had a chance to experience that with the Galaxy Nexus, and it's actually pretty cool. I'm actually in the process of trying to root my phone, because Samsung Infuse hasn't got an update in forever, and hopefully just put like an ice cream sandwich kind of emulator on there, or a ROM rather, on there, and just try to get an experience with it. But yeah, hopefully we'll have that. And with that being said, too, I'd like to see an NFC chip, because NFC, it's probably going to be a big thing now. Google's going to be trying to roll it out, really get it pumped in 2012, and it's actually going to be great for consumers. The more people that have it, the more it's going to benefit everyone, I think, at least. So I'd like to see an NFC chip. Now moving on, we're going to get to the camera. So a 1080p recording capability for video, that's going to be a must, because that's really just a standard at this point. And we're going to move on to the megapixels on that camera. It's going to probably be about 12. Now, I just want to clear some things up, because a lot of people have seen my other videos, like, oh, I talk about megapixels, but I haven't really gone into the detail. So megapixels is, maybe like how do I explain it? So if you have it's kind of the pixel richness of your picture. So if you're gonna have two cameras, one camera is 8 megapixel, maybe one's 15 or 12, say like this phone, and you take a picture of like an apple or something like that, and you're gonna do a print of like 3 feet by 3 feet or even bigger, whatever, and probably many of you will never do that, but the one that has more megapixels, you're gonna see, you know, it's gonna appear a little more sharper because there's more pixels, less fuzziness, and it's just better resolution. So that's pretty much all I can say about that. But I want to see what these new phones is, you know, better lenses, better color, noise reduction. There's a lot of different things I'd like to see with these phones, and the megapixel, you know, not too important to me, so I'd like to hear some other specs about that. Now, moving on from that camera, we can get to some other pretty important things. 3D, okay? 3D was talked about a lot. Hasn't really caught on completely yet, but we know that the Koreans are working on a phone that is focused on 3D, and we're not really sure what phone it is. Now, it could be the Samsung Galaxy S3, and I personally think it probably is going to be, because Samsung's had, you know, their series have been a hit. The Galaxy and the S2, all these phones have been a hit, and I think the 3D would be just a great way for them to go. Now, something for me to conclude on these specs, guys, with the Samsung Galaxy S3 is battery. Now, all of you have Android phones that are probably watching this. Some of you probably do have Apple and you're interested, you know, just what's going on with this phone. But battery is just a killer with these phones. You know, a lot of you probably don't have your data on half the time to conserve energy. You got Wi-Fi off, all these other things just to conserve battery, and you're still lasting, you know, barely through the day. Now, LTE, quad core, like all these different features they're going to have on this phone, they're really going to have to up the battery, and, you know, it's going to hopefully not affect the size too much, but it's really going to be surprising where they can go with it. I really hope they do give a look at the battery, because who wants to use their phone for 5 hours of the day? Or not even 5 hours. I mean, you guys have it on standby for half the time. So, you know, that's something I'd really like to see. Now, guys, this is really all I have to say about the phone. I'm going to have some more updates coming. Stay tuned. Yep, that's really all I have to say. Thumbs up this video if you guys did enjoy it. I worked pretty hard to gather some of this information for you guys and show you what's up. And, yeah, subscribe, what have you. Follow me on Twitter at OnosTech. Alright guys, take it easy. Peace.